everyone, my name is Monty Latchley and I'm here at Kscope 16 in beautiful Chicago. I'm joined here with my good friend Berg Hansen. Kim and I have known each other since Kim showed up at Kscope back in 2010 in Washington, D.C. and I look forward to reconnecting with Kim with every year at Kscope. Also on a personal note, anytime I have an analytic that I just can't crack, I send it over to Kim and he always hits me a home run. So he's very knowledgeable in that area and very much look forward to this interview, and I'm very, very excited to hear what you have to say about your sessions. The one session in particular is the one on XML and JSON. Could you elaborate on that?
Yep. Well, it was a session I did just half an hour ago, finished just within the time, 30 seconds to go, and had good questions and good feedback from the audience, and telling them about use of XML and JSON to communicate data with the outside world, outside of the database, and also to then use it within the database together with the data that you already have in the database.
Is JSON going to be the death of XML?
Nah. Not really the death, but it does become more and more popular, and particularly probably because a lot of the mobile applications, it pretty much defaults to using JSON to communicating with the backend from the mobile applications.
So well, what would be a situation where we'd still need XML and we couldn't do it, what we couldn't do in JSON?
Well, one of the examples that I was showing was that I was calling Google geocoding services.
Right.
And Google API can return it either as XML and JSON. So I did that both ways to then show how I could query the returned XML and JSON with select statements. And like the address, I could pick out from the XML various bits of the address, house number, street name, zip code, things like that. And part of that was made easy with the XML was because XML has an XPath syntax, XQuery syntax that's been around for a while, is very mature, and allows things to do like a lookup. Give me the XML element that has the value street name in one element, and then give me another sub-element of that element node in the XML.
Yep.
And that way I could query with XML table function and retrieve the exact pieces I want. JSON does not support a similar syntax. JSON, I would need to get from the JSON all of the data and then use SQL to query the individual elements and pivot it back into the columns that I want.
I see.
And that's the things that, as JSON mature, it's quite possible that within the JSON standard will emerge like a JPath equivalent of XPath. And when that happens, there'll be less and less use for the XML. Then still there'll be some cases where, like the JSON is very often used for RESTful web services.
Right.
And some cases there is still need for the SOAP protocol in web services. And the SOAP protocol is XML and can only use XML.
I see. Well, that makes sense. So I guess XML will be here certainly for the near future. But at the rate that JSON's maturing, I have to agree with you. There's something on the horizon that's going to allow us to do that in JSON as well.
Yep.
What about your your upcoming session? You want to talk about it for a second?
The upcoming session will be a joint session with ACE Director Brendan Tierney from Ireland. And he knows everything about Oracle R Enterprise. And I've been doing some fooling around at my previous job with forecasting, sales forecasting in our case, but it could be any type of forecasting, where we've done it with R, with the free R Oracle driver, and we've done it with SQL. And then Brendan helped to transform that to Oracle R Enterprise, and we'll be doing a session where we are comparing the various methods of using R and then comparing it to use SQL, and in which cases would one be better, and in which cases would the other be better.
I think I need to sit in on that session because that's an area that I have very little exposure in. So I look forward to that session.
I've had several tell me that
Yeah.
we need to come to that session.
Absolutely, I think it's going to be standing room
3:30
only.
p.m. on Tuesday.
3:30 p.m. tomorrow.
Yep.
Sounds good. Save me a seat. Also, we have the Lunch and Learn coming up tomorrow. You're going to be a busy guy tomorrow.
Yep, that's true. I'm sitting in on the database panel for the Lunch and Learn.
Who else is on that panel with you? Are you aware?
There's Heli Helskiaho.
Oh, good.
There's Carrie Millsap. There's two more that I'm sorry to say I can't remember right now.
You have to show up and find out.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, just based on the names that you gave me, there's not going to be any stumping that panel.
It's pretty widespread skills on the panel, so that most questions should be able to be answered.
I agree. Now, I mentioned your first Kscope was back in 2010. Here we are 6-7 years later. I mean, how has the conference changed for you? Now, when you walk in, it has to be like you're walking into some type of family reunion.
Exactly. It's like that, as you said, family reunion. There's a whole bunch of people that I start to know more and more people. I start to, get greeted by people the minute you see them, and you start continue the conversation that you ended last year. And of course, many of them we also keep in touch during the year via Twitter or mail or whatever.
Yes. It's fantastic, the communication back and forth, and it's ongoing, like you said, throughout the year. I got a question though. You are also part of our abstract review, and you peer reviewed all the abstracts to determine what makes it into the conference.
For the database track.
For the database track. What are you looking for when you review these abstracts? Are you looking for first-time speakers? Are you looking for ideas that are just coming out of left field? When you look at these abstracts, what really jumps off the page when you view these abstracts, and what's the process you go through to trying to peer review all these abstracts that come in?
Well, of course, it takes some time to read all of them.
Oh yeah.
For me, I probably mostly look at the content itself. What's the subject? Because part of what I look at is if someone has found maybe new uses for something that's already in there in the database.
Yep.
And can show you can use this to do that. You can use that to do this.
Yep.
The more that it comes from actual real life use, the better, in my opinion.
Makes perfect sense.
A lot of the theory is, of course, very nice, and there has to be some sessions that are also more theoretical to get a good spread. But at a place like this, where it's very much about sharing your experiences with others who can learn from those same experiences. I mean, the content, the more that it comes from real experience, the better. And the more it resonates with the audience.
I agree completely.
In that case, it does not really matter much if you're a first-timer or if you're an experienced. I mean, a first-timer, if a first-timer comes with something that, hey, I know something that these people could learn from me.
Yeah.
Come along. Even if you're a first-timer, submit something.
Absolutely. We've all got a story to tell. We've all got a story to tell. And I think
everybody has it.
And a lot of times we think, okay, well, no one else is interested in this. And that's many, many times wrong. We find out that there's a lot of similarities between the problems that I'm trying to solve and the problems that you're trying to solve.
Exactly. And a lot of that is that at Kscope you should not think of it so much as a one way. It's not teachers and students. It's peers that are exchanging information. And what you come with, even if you're not speaking, as a new attendee, go talk with the speakers.
Yes.
They want to learn from you too. I want to learn from everybody that, hey, you said this and that about the XML. Have you tried recursive JSON?
Yes.
Half an hour ago, someone was saying, have you tried recursive JSON? It didn't seem to work. Well, no, I haven't, but actually at Open World, I talked to the guy who was creating JSON in Oracle and said something about recursive JSON that probably in 12.2 there'll be some support for it, I hope.
Nice, nice.
So,
you know, how many times have you been in a Kscope session, and not just questions come from the audience, but answers come from the audience as well? It happens all the time.
Exactly, it happens all the time.
I like to say iron sharpens iron. We're all helping each other in this thing.
Yep.
So I'm thrilled to reconnect with you here at Kscope 16. I can count on you being at Kscope 17, right, in San Antonio?
Definitely.
That's an old hometown of mine. I expect we continue this conversation there. So it's good to see you again, Kim.
San Antonio was where I had my first Kscope presentation.
Let's make it a double.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll talk to you next year in Kscope 17.